Namaste and hi friends, it's Parvati here with Visionary Veda, bringing you your full moon report for this Halloween, October 31st, 2020. This is a Vedic astrology report, so let's get started. My apologies right off the bat for being a little late with this report. I was traveling during Mercury retrograde and only just got back. I have a little bit of jet lag, so I'm happy to at least get this report out before it's too late. I hope it's still of benefit to all of you. So let's talk about the significance of this beautiful full moon on this amazing Halloween night, or Samhain night, as they say in the Irish Gaelic language. It's spelled Samhain, Samhain, but pronounced Samhain. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that as well and how it ties into the significance of this full moon. But this full moon is a very potent and beautiful full moon because it's happening during a time of transition. We're transitioning from one chapter into the next. We're transitioning from one season into the next, right? And so this is the full moon of transitioning. It's also one where it's also known as the harvest moon, right? So we're taking in all our bounty from the summer. We are bringing in all of our harvest. And it's one where we honor our departed kindred spirits and ancestors. We honor the ancestors and those that have passed on to the other side, because here in the Northern Hemisphere, we are also passing into the time of death and decay. We're passing into the autumn and then into the dark time of the day, into the winter months. So the significance of this full moon is really one in which to honor the departed, and to be able to do that through feeding them and nourishing them and sharing our bounty with them. Feeding others, whether alive or deceased, is a very strong form of sharing your love, because food is ultimately nourishment. So this is the time when we include our ancestors. We make room for them. This is also where the Halloween tradition of like goblins and ghouls coming up to your door and you giving them treats or sweets to let them know, that they are thought of, they are remembered, and how their presence in our life continues to be sweet, right? The nakshatra of this full moon is the very powerful nakshatra of bharani nakshatra. It is lorded by the planet Venus. And remember, Venus was given the Sanjivani Vidya, which was the power to raise somebody from the dead. This nakshatra is a Ugra nakshatra, like ogre, right? Ugra meaning it is fierce and intense, just like an ogre. It's not a soft, sweet nakshatra at all. The deity, the presiding lord of this nakshatra, is Lord Yamaraj himself. Lord Yama. Lord Yama is the god of death. Lord Yama is who visits you to let you know that he is going to take you with him to the other side, right? So it is the theme for this full moon is death and rebirth, right? Very much death, because bharani nakshatra is lorded by the god of death himself, right? But bharani also indicates on the body the yoni, which is the entrance and the exit for life. The yoni, and actually the fallopian tubes and the womb area, is all lorded over by bharani nakshatra. And it's interesting also in the French language, right? The name for orgasm, or one of the other names for orgasm, is the small death. La petite morte, M-O-R-T. I'm sorry if I'm not saying it or pronouncing it properly the way the French do, but la petite or la petite morte, the little death. So it's this duality, the different side of the same coin of death and birth that is the theme for this beautiful full moon that we are experiencing on this Halloween night. Now, the other lord of this full moon, because it's happening in the sidereal sign of Aries, is the planet Mars. And the planet Mars that rules this sign is going retrograde at the moment. And it is retrograding in the sign of Pisces. So it is in the 12th house from itself, from the sign it lords. And any time a planet is 12th from itself, it lends a very spiritual sort of energy to this full moon, because the 12th house is the house of loss, right? It is the house before the first house, which is the house of birth. Aries is traditionally seen as the first house in the Kalparush, or in the zodiac as a human being, right? That's where we get all the body parts as well, Aries being the head, Pisces being the feet. Everything is tied into this Kalparush, or this cosmic zodiac, and this is how we measure time itself. Lord Yama is also the Lord of Time. Kalparush, Kala means black. It also means time, right? Because it's through time that we experience both birth and death, and then rebirth again. It can only be done through the mechanisms of time. So it's very interesting how it all ties together. Another tidbit is this festival that the Gaelic people do, the Celtic people, called Samhain. It's very similar to the Shiva, right? Which I just recently learned from Dr. Arjun Pai, that when we do that pose in yoga, the corpse pose, it's not Shivasana, it's not Shiva, it's Shavasana. Shava means corpse. It actually means lifeless body. And the Gaelic, Celtic people have been said to have originated from India. And they say that the Celtic or the Gaelic language actually comes from Sanskrit. And this is it was very surprising to me to learn about this, but this is actually true. So, Samhain, Shava, right? Shavasana, Samhain. It's about honoring our ancestors and our departed loved ones and kin, right? And it's the time where we venerate them through sharing our abundance from harvest, and we can connect to them to help us protect us and guide us through the dark nights coming up of winter, because they're on the other side. They can guide us from this plane. So it's a very interesting moon. It's a moon of transition, a transition time, movement between the worlds. Whenever there's a time of great change, whether it's moving from one season to another, from one sign to another, from even in the daylight, from the morning to the evening, whenever there's a time of great change, there's a lot of movement happening. And in this movement, we can connect with the unseen forces. Now, the sun is opposite this full moon in the sidereal sign of Libra. And the sun is sitting with retrograde Mercury. So let's talk about this for a little minute. So the sun, it is the ruler of, or indicates, our leaders. And Libra is usually the sign of the people. It indicates democracy, right? The majority. It indicates others. The sun gets debilitated in this sign of Libra. Why? Because the sun symbolizes the king, and the king is used to doing what the king pleases. Whereas Libra, in that sign, the king has to be one with the people. The king cannot be a ruler. The king needs to be it needs to take into account the democracy. Now, the sun being debilitated here, meaning our leaders are not going to be very strong right now. And it's very interesting coming up on this election here in the United States. The leaders need to take into account what the people are wanting, and that makes the leaders very uncomfortable because the leaders want to do what they want to do, right? Now, couple that with a retrograde Mercury sitting with the sun in the nakshatra of Swati. Now, Swati is ruled by Rahu, so it makes communication even more confused, right? With that Mercury being retrograde. Now, Mercury is going to go out of retrograde on election day itself, right? So it's a very, very strong time for us as the people and for our minds, with the moon, right, being illuminated at its fullest in Aries, the sign of the individual. So we're going to be feeling individually, we could be feeling, most likely individually, a lot of irritability. A lot of like, enough is enough. I've had it, right? And we're going to be feeling that emotionally and mentally because the moon is illuminated in the sign of Aries, right? We're also going to feel like, okay, can we bear this anymore? Because bharani, the nakshatra that this moon is in, is all about the ability to bear things, like bear children, literally bear children, because again, it's symbolized by the yoni and also the womb. This is where women bear children, and to like be bearing children is no easy task, right? You need forbearance to do that. So this time is going to be really highlighting not only our ancestors, right? But it's going to be highlighting the leadership, the leaders, the sun being debilitated, their communication to the democracy, and how we emotionally and mentally internalize it. And most likely it's going to be a very strong emotional reaction because Aries is all about me, right? It's a very individual sign. And emotionally we're going to be very individually triggered by people in authority, people in our lives that take that position of like the king or the father or somebody who is like of a leader in your personal life as well, and where their limitations are being felt by us. So hopefully this was a helpful report. My apologies again for being a little late with it. Again, I was traveling during Mercury retrograde, so I did come across some glitches in the way, but I am back now, and I will be making another report soon, talking about the upcoming energies that are going to be there for the month of November. We're going to have a lot of shifts in the month of November again. Again, Mercury goes direct on the 3rd of November, which is election day here in the United States. So don't expect that to go off without its own hitches and glitches. I'm sure we all already expect that to happen. So let's stay tuned and see how that pans out. In the meanwhile, I wish you all an amazing Samhain, Day of the Dead, Halloween, Sharad Purnima. Okay, it's also called Rasa Purnima because this is supposedly the evening where Lord Krishna came down to play the Ras Leela, which we usually play during Navratri, if you're Gujarati, with the gopis. So if you don't know that story really quickly, Krishna came down and played Ras Leela. It's so much fun to play in real life, with all of his gopis. So the gopis are the cowgirls that just like adored Lord Krishna. And while he was playing this game, he multiplied himself like hundreds of times. But each gopi was under the illusion that they had Krishna all to herself. So that little rascal Krishna, like he had some fun with those gopis. And so this is the moon to enjoy the Leela, to know that it's just a game, to know that it's just a dance, the dance of life, and to enjoy that bhav, to enjoy that nectar that's coming from this moon. One other thing I'd like to add is if you do any sort of work with crystals or any sort of work with magic, this is a really good moon to cleanse your crystals under, to imbue them with the power of Venus. Again, even though it's bharani, and it's the Lord of Death, Lord Yama, Venus is also reproducing and rebirth. So this will imbue the crystals with a very strong, Shakti energy, right? And very similar to that of the Sanjeevani Vidya, or the power to resurrect, to bring back to life, to heal. So go ahead and charge those crystals under the moonlight, or charge your water if you wish. Or usually we use, in India, we use kheer, which is made out of milk and rice and sugar and cardamom and sweets. So you could also like charge milk or anything that is indicated by the moon, any watery rasa, right? Rasa substance. So that is going to do it for me on this wonderful Halloween evening. Enjoy the life. Have fun. If you're going to be going out there, stay safe. And until next time, I'm wishing you all the best. Take care out there. Enjoy the life. Namaste and thank you. Bye-bye.